panel is advocacy and sustenance for women in tech, just in case some people don't know why they're up here. And the first thing I'm going to ask is, what is the advocacy hill that you are currently dying on? Like, what is the one thing that is keeping you up at night concerning women in tech? And who wants to start? Seriously, guys. Okay, Lani, go first.
Hello everyone.
Hi.
Good afternoon. Okay, so one thing that keeps me up at night. Okay, first of all, this is not new. One of the reasons why we're actually gathering is because of the gender gap in tech. There are so little women compared to men that we have in tech, and like it's a really big deal because like in tech generally, any field in tech where you turn to, we have more men, like they are dominant in STEM fields generally, and it's a really big deal because women are underrepresented in this area. But what really bothers me is the fact that at the point where we try to reach out to these ladies, because nowadays a lot of programs, that encourages women to join STEM, to encourages them, to exposes them to fields in STEM. But it feels as if some of these things come at a late stage when these ladies are they've already gone far in their career path, and they were not exposed to these things at the very beginning. So they've already made several choices based on what they were exposed to at that point. So at the point where we reach out to them, sometimes it seems too late, like they've gone too far. So where do I start from now? I've already started doing this and all, and it's not easy for them at that level to now switch, or even if they are interested, it's not so easy for them to now switch into STEM field. So what I would really like to see is have people exposed very early enough so that they know what opportunities that they have and how they can chart their course in STEM.
Okay. You ready?
Okay, hi everyone. I think for me, it's more about, or what concerns me more is, I guess, what I'm experiencing right now as someone who's trying to hire, for example. And whenever I put out applications, maybe like 5% of people that apply are women. And I think what concerns me is, or what keeps me up at night, is trying to get more people or more women to that stage where they can be at the level where, or at the amount where, like, if I get applications, I'm getting from both men and women. And so I think for me, I'm more concerned about getting more women educated to the point where there's just like equal amount of men and women in the pool.
In the hiring pool.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there's a mic on this side.
I don't know if I need a mic.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so my own situation is being in the academia, I deal with both male and female. And what actually I'm dealing with right now is encouraging the youth and encouraging the younger generation, like starting from the grassroots, to educate them on things on STEM. And however, not only STEM, my own specialty is in artificial intelligence and robotics. So what we are dealing with right now in the University of Lagos is how to help the younger ones, even in primary and secondary level, to teach them on how to code using robots. Try to let them know what's going on. You know, one thing I noticed in Nigeria is that we don't even have knowledge of what's existing. So we don't even know where to go to. Sometimes if you don't know that this is existing, how will you apply to that? You will not be able to relate to what you don't know that is existing. So we decided to do this corporate social responsibility program to be able to help the younger generations, especially from grassroots, to teach them on how to code using small Finch robots, using all these game robots, to be able to understand what's going on in the industry. And with that, you see that before they get to the level of entering into university, they would have made up their mind on what they want to do. The problem we see in the university is that most young girls and young guys have already made up their mind, I want to be in electrical engineering, I want to be in mechanical engineering. So when you come in and you start pushing them, organizing programs, trying to teach them, especially the kind of system we have a system where you give them tests, you give them assignments, they don't have time for any other thing, and they want to work for their CGPA. You can't get them at that stage. They've already left that era. So why we now decided to go down to grassroots, and now we are still helping those that are maybe 100 level, 200 level, 300 level, to tell them that if you are interested, you have the passion, no matter the department. We are not concentrating on computer science, we are concentrating on everybody that is in the university. If you have a passion for anything to do with tech, just come. We started a lab, and so this is what we are fighting right now. You're asking us what we are passing through right now. This is what we are passing through right now, and we are getting them. We're getting those that have the passion, because the passion is the key. If you don't have passion for that, no matter how I speak from today to tomorrow, you're not getting it. So that's actually where we are.
Okay.
Thank you. Hi everyone. Is it working? Okay, cool. So I think for me, the few times that I have spoken to women and younger women, just sort of to see how interested they are in tech, I found that there's that confidence gap. You know, people feeling like, you know, it's not something for them. And for obvious reasons, you know, in tech you find that there are a lot more men than women. So obviously, because you don't see yourself, I'm sorry, I'm going to use this. No. So I guess because you don't see yourself represented in the industry, it's more difficult for women to actually aspire to become, you know, women in tech and seeing themselves actually progress. So for me, I think what's most concerning for me is what are the institutions doing? And I like initiatives like, you know, what, you know, doctors just mentioned, but for me, it's how many universities, how many of the institutions are out there actually doing stuff to help build the confidence of women, helping them see that this is actually, you know, jobs that they can do, and also helping them see how that also contributes to their career. So for me, it's really just what are the initiatives out there that, you know, businesses, organizations can support for institutions to drive women to be more interested from the secondary level to university level, to start getting people to, you know, get more involved. So for me, I think, I mean, that's what I see.
What's your own advocacy thing that, so yours is the confidence gap?
Yeah, so for me it's the confidence gap, and all the women that I've had the opportunity to speak with is just to let them see, look, I've grown so far in tech, and I see, you know, where it ends for me. So it's just, you know, trying to mentor people, mentor women to also follow the same path.
Okay. So Ojo and Oboji, hi. What we're talking about right now is what is the advocacy hill that you are willing to die on? Like, what is the thing that bugs you about the tech industry, especially as it relates to women?
Hey guys, I'm sorry I'm late. Sorry I was late. I can't believe traffic. Anyway, women in tech, right? I think that the bone of contention for me has always been the lack of representation, and I always make reference to like growing up and deciding I'm going to be an engineer and eventually going to work in tech, and then looking up and then seeing like no one who looked like me, and having to extrapolate from Indians and white women and all of these people to form a caricature, so to speak, of the woman I'd like to be. So the hill I would like to die on is the representation matters, modeling matters. And so I am a startup founder, but I also moonlight as a venture capitalist at some point. And so what we try to do is, in my company where we work, we have a 50-50 representation, right? You know, people always say the pipeline is the problem. But the pipeline isn't the problem, because if you're determined to hire a balance of men or women in your company, you will find them, because they exist. And so when we're trying to hire, if we see that it's skewering towards the guys, then when we interview people, we're trying our best. We're trying our best to give the women the chances. Because what you see during hiring processes is when people apply, maybe 5% max are women. And then when 5% like maximum are women, and then when you're interviewing them, you can see the confidence gap, you can see the knowledge gap, and you just begin to see all of these deficiencies that aren't like owed to like it is not a skill gap, right? It's just like they don't know what to be paid. They don't know what level they're in. They don't know where to go to improve because those communities are few and far in between for women. And so it's like when you ask them these questions like, okay, so what is your career trajectory? It's a small question, but you know, a lot of women are stumped when you ask them that question in an interview. Meanwhile, you ask the guys and they just begin to rattle off things that they don't even understand, or you ask them, how much do you want to get paid? And a guy who's earning 90K now is telling you 250K, and he's just looking at you that way. And then you see the women like, I know anything the company can offer and things like that. There's a lack of startup founding isn't the only place where we lack women. We lack women who are getting paid in the millions who come out and say, this is what I earn. Men do it all the time. And so like representation in all its angles and all its forms are some of the things that we need to encourage. I do a lot of my thinking out loud and on Twitter, and you see when we have these conversations where there is communities for men where they tell each other what to get paid, right, on different levels, because for some strange reason, feeding into the myth that women are not comfortable, men feel okay telling another guy, hey, this is what you should ask for. We don't have that. So when a woman goes into an interview, she's already going with one hand tied behind her back, because like you don't know what that level entails. You don't know what like the ramifications of the job are. We just read the story of the lady who was at WeWork for years and didn't get stock options because there was no one to defend her, no one to tell her, no, this is what you deserve. And that's a lack of representation right there, because there is no man on Twitter making those threats. In fact, most of the men who work in the early days that we work at the sitting pretty because WeWork is just filing for IPO and they're all about to become rich. And so that girl, us, everyone like us, it's like, who is looking back and giving us those advantages? Who is looking back and giving us those tips? Who is representing you in politics, in government, in policies, in schools? You know, who can you look up to? Even if you want to work in 9 to 5, because we keep like skewering towards startup founders. Who can you look up to who is risen in the ranks? I can tell you this is how you do it. This is the model to follow, right? There is a lack of black women doing that. There is a dire lack of Nigerian women who are there right now. We're making progress, but like we're still really few, and so I think that representation is like the crux of the problem that women in tech are facing.
Come back to my book. That was great. You can clap. That was good. Do you need a mic?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Ugochi. I'm a system engineer at Okay, sorry. Let me loud. So I said my name is Ugochi. A system engineer at Switch. So contributing to this, I think there is lack of women being in the leadership positions. I don't know if anyone has said it before. In my company actually, I think that's one of like our agendas, like women are actually growing, like actually being in leadership positions. But still in the tech part, you find out that the junior ones actually, the women actually, their role models are usually guys. So there's no much women in the leadership position that you can say, okay, she's my role model, I'm learning from her. So the problem is just, I think one of the reasons is that women have this mentality that, okay, some women, let me just say general women, continuing in the tech industry will be difficult because of the fact that at the end of the day you become a mother, right? So when you're in the tech industry and then you then get married and you start having children, you have so much responsibilities, family issues, and to be that person, like to have your dreams actualized, that peak, and to keep your family along and have a man support you in that position is actually one of, I think one of the reasons why women are not, sometimes they will get into the industry and then they will lay back, or they will not have like much impact or input in their field, or maybe go extra mile like their dreams, because they are tied down with family issues and all that. So I think one of my issue, or what I've seen in the industry is, because I know when I started at work,
if I wanted to, like, I thought, you know what, I'm going to get a role model, I'm going to, you know, look at, but I couldn't see anyone actually. You are mostly guys and you're doing very well, you know, and you have no choice but to, you know, just follow the guys step. There are few, just one woman actually that was a role model, but she's a shy person, but I still still look at her, how she does her stuff. So another thing I would say is that women actually in the technological industry, we need to own our job, own our responsibilities, because I feel that the guys they take the harder tax. You know, when there's a tax on board, it'll be a very big tax where, you know, they'll be like, no, like, let's do this. Like, you don't want to put you in order, like, maybe, like, they don't put you in the forefront. So I think we should, if you're in industry right now, you should always want to put yourself and contribute, you know, and I think that's my own contribution.
Okay, so yeah. So in summary, there's a confidence gap, there's a pipeline problem. Odu says there isn't.
No, there is.
There's a
but
pipeline
it's
problem.
not direct.
And even for the people that are skilled, they're not applying enough, or you have to beg them to apply for the jobs that they're, so which comes back to confidence. Okay, so actually wanted to start talking with pipeline and start with Chika because you're at the school level. So the pipeline kind of starts with you. There's no pressure. But so you teach first year, second years, and then up until postgrad. How do you see the women, what's the progression of women, first of all in numbers, so the people that start out in the first year, how many of them are there by postgrad, and do their confidence levels increase as they go through the years, or it's just mixed?
So that's a very good question. Thank you. Yes, when you were coming to me, I don't see the guys. That's one thing. I just see myself. So maybe that's why I didn't know there's something between guys and ladies. So and I'm sure maybe that's why I'm one of the agents that is helping those that are seeing that. Now, for coming to school, we have girls and we have boys, and you will not believe it. We have a girl that made first class. She beat all the guys. She can program very well, and she just got a job with Microsoft. So we still have girls that are doing this. But most of the girls, they shy away when they get to 300 level. We have 500 years. Sorry, we do 5 years for the rest of Lagos. When you see first level, second level, you see them making 4 points, 5 points. Immediately they get to 300 level, they start dropping. So it became a concern to us. That's for undergrad, and we started checking what's the problem, and that's when you notice that they are doing poor computer courses, and those poor computer courses require you to program, and most girls run away from programming. And why do they do that? Stereotypes, things they've heard from people. They are running away from their mindset that we can't program. So there's something we started doing. So when I came back, I did my PhD in the University of Cape Town, where I did AI and robotics. When I came back, I started this club called Girls Coding Club, just for undergrads. And most of them were interested, and you see some of them making 4 point something without knowing how to program. And I keep telling them, you can't say you're in computer science without knowing how to program, because you can't own up to be in mathematics without knowing how to solve a problem. So you must know how to code. And it's nothing, it's just because of mindset. So we picked some of them and we put them together, and I got a tutor, and look at these children were wonderful. So we now started this robotic program. When the vice chancellor told us to organize one for University of Lagos, no girl wanted to show up. All the groups, we have about 12 groups, all guys. So I said this cannot happen. People that want to organize with me are girls, and they're in computer science. I said you have to form a team. Do you know they formed a team? They were using my office to work. Do you know now they're called Code Angels? These papers came, carried their names. They could even do it, they built the robot from scratch. Just because of, like you said, confidence gap is too much in Nigeria. We have a lot of, that department is lacking. Why is it lacking? Because of what we have in our mindset that we cannot do it. That guys are doing it better than us. And you feel like inferior when you hear them speak. So because they now say a man, before they used to say what a man can do, a woman can do that. I wonder what happens to that when you come to in the university where people are supposed to be doing that more. So, but what we have gotten to, the level we have gotten to, those girls are the ones that are using their pictures everywhere, and they built this robot. They thought they couldn't build this robot, but why were they able to get there? because of the pipeline you said. Someone had to look at, you know what happened? You wouldn't know I'm a lecturer when I'm with them. I don't even wear gown. I don't even wear skirts. Just to know that I look like students, even though I'm old. But they relate to me. You know, in Nigeria, when I travel, I noticed that we call lecturers by their first name. But here, if you don't put doctor, they want to kill you. So when I got back, no, but that's true. So when I got back and we relate, they could access my office. But I hate it when they abuse it. So I always like to set a boundary. So, you know, relate to them like a mentor. And they were free with me. So that's why at the end of the day, they gave me student advisor. They don't want to take it away from me. They said you are relating with them well. And with that alone, it has even made me famous. But that wasn't my intention. The vice chancellor noticed that, he called me to, you know, so started giving me responsibility. And you see pfas.com somewhere waiting. Is she the only one? But they wouldn't do that. So but the girls are increasing, they are growing in numbers, and they are getting what they need, you know. So the extent, like you said, pipeline, they need someone that will bridge that gap. This confidence gap is what is killing the girls. It is very, 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 very common in universities.
So, although I know that you can clap. I know you study computer science, right? Computer engineering, and we have the panel of software engineers. So let's talk about this confidence gap. So for you, you obviously went through the entire, was it 5 years too? Did you notice a drop in like female population in your class?
Yeah.
And how did you? I'm not allowed to swear on this. I don't know. How did you work through that? You know what? Everybody can do what they're doing. I'm going to finish this.
Okay, so
and then
yeah,
everybody else can then chime in because we all, most of you program. I try to learn the work out from me. But I'm a woman in tech, but not on the program end. So yes.
I think that like the home and like the exposure that like you had before going on to pick your tertiary course really matters. So a bit of background. Both my parents are university professors, so it's like, you're going to pick a course and you're going to like stick it out. First of all, that's compulsory. But my mom is also a professor of mathematics, so there's that. My dad's psychology, and in my house, growing up, there wasn't a difference between myself and my brother. Like my little sister at the back there, she can tell you it's like it's like you guys are just like human beings, and the chores go to whoever they see first, and it just wasn't a thing in the house that like boys do this, girls do this, and we weren't really exposed to all of those gender gaps, like all of those gender roles that people seem to grow up with. And so in reality, no one chose the course for me, and so my parents are like, if you pick it, you have to do it. And I chose medicine, and then I'm like, no, I'm going to do computer engineering. Incidentally, the first day, and this was at a private university, I went to Covenant. So the first day we got to school, after my dad left and we were doing orientation, I was sitting down in, where we were supposed to be, and someone asked me, a guy asked me, so what course are you studying? And I'm like, computer engineering. And he's like, ooh, 5 years. I was like, yeah. And then he's like, shouldn't you be in a 4-year course? Don't you want to finish on time and get married and have children? And so, another bit of background, I have Asperger's syndrome, so very, very, very low filters. And so I just like kind of read him, like, are you insane and all this kind of thing. But those are the kind of conversations we're having in a private university. Nigerians would say one of the best, right? And that's the kind of mindset that some of these people come in with. When I was SS3 filling my JAM form, when I was filling computer engineering, and my dad's like, yeah, write whatever you want. And there was a girl who was going to write computer science, and her dad's like, no, write economics. And like, this is not someone told me, I was there. And those things, a combination of those things are what a lot of girls are going with. The stereotypes, the conditioning, the perception. And so when we entered 100 level and everybody was doing, and then 100 level was relatively easy, as most people are aware. It was like 200 level came and it was incredibly hard, and I just felt like a lot of people like, yeah, I'm changing courses. And then we went from, we were only 21 girls at the beginning anyway, but then in 200 level, we were 18. In 300 level, we were 11. But then I was graduating when we were 6.
Oh my god.
And and it's like, wow, and they were changing to courses like building technology. I don't even know what like I don't really understand like the economics, international relations, and we that way added to the stereotype that that's what women should be studying. And all those guys, I know at the top of my class, I was best in computer engineering, but all those guys are just like, this course is too hard for the women. And it's like, but you're the one feeling now. Guys, come on. They make offhand comments like that, and when the whole thing is, see, it's like crack, the confidence that men have, right? And I really wish it could be bottled up and sold to women. It's incredible how so much of them were filling out and none of them were filling change of course forms. And girls who were doing middling well were all like, yeah, I'm leaving this place, it's too complicated, it's too, a control systems person would, like the lecturer would teach and the girls would just up and leave, like, okay, that's that about that. And there were guys who didn't know shit, like nothing. And they're just there like, I'm a computer engineer. I think that, see, the confidence thing, and this is why, I'm sure maybe not everyone is a feminist, but this is why feminism and all of its surrounding ideologies are very important for women. I don't understand how we think we can't do it just because someone said we can't do it. Yeah. It's a foreign ideology to me that people accept, but I understand where they're coming from, because when you grow up in a home where your mom or your dad is conditioning you to be someone's wife, society is telling you you're a second-class citizen. Engineering is telling you you're a second-class citizen. At some point, you start to believe you're a second-class citizen, and that's how we then graduate to having a pipeline problem where only 6 out of a class of 120 people are women. And then we go on like that, and then they tell you women don't want to do it. But that's not true. We want to do it. There is women who are doing it. And again, there's women who want to look up to someone, so like, this person did it, so I can too. But there's a dearth of those women. We don't know where they are. We're just like, where are the women?
We know where they are. Now we do.
At least we have some in this room, right?
Room.
We have some in the audience. And so maybe those things can help, because it's a large part of it is societal conditioning. You see, from when girls are 7, 6, they're already getting told that they're going to be wives. When my sister says she wants to be president, the relative tried to tell her a president's wife. It was like, okay, so you're no longer welcome in this house. It was like, you don't do those kind of things to children. They're kids. And you see people like that, then they grow up, and then they grow up, and then they grow up into people who actively defend the actions of men when it's against our gender. So yeah.
All right. So we have the background where you were supported and when everyone was like, yes, you should definitely do that. But then I have Ire who you're self-taught, right? But also at the same time, which means a lot of this. I know we did an interview for Tech About, for Tech Women Lagos, the project, and one of the things you said was because you're self-taught, you never really experienced sexism up until you started trying to hire. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Hello?
I don't know, maybe just try and talk. Yeah, so I think, I don't know whether it's lucky or unlucky, but my experience was completely different to, I guess, most people that went to school and studied this. So I started getting into programming as a teenager, and it was just something I was doing by myself, alone in the computer. So nobody knew what I was doing. Nobody could tell me this is not for you. It was just a hobby. And then when I was showing more interest in it, and I told my dad about it, his phone was like, what do you mean that's my job? It's just a hobby. He didn't even get to the point of, oh, this is not like hobby. It was just this is not a job. So that's why I didn't really consider it. So when I went to university, I studied psychology, and then I studied law. And it wasn't until I saw somebody studying computer science, which is a whole other thing, because I didn't know computer science existed. Yeah, I didn't know it existed. And I went to school in the UK. So I don't even know. So when I discovered that, I was like, oh, this is something I've been so interested in, so let me try and pursue it again. And even when I was trying to pursue it at that point, I didn't consider going to school. I just thought, I've done 2 degrees, am I really going to try and do yet another one? So I was like, let me try and do this self-taught. So I didn't really, nobody ever told me that this is not for me. I was just doing it because it was something I enjoyed doing forever. And then I guess it was only when I started like, I guess applying for jobs and stuff. But even at that point, I felt like at the point where I got my first job here, I was like, I had been freelance for a while, and even at that point, I didn't really even have that much interaction with, I guess, men, because I did some freelance jobs, and I quickly realized I don't like people. So I was like, nah, I can't do this. I need to just work in a company where it's just me and my computer, and nobody talks to me. So I started blogging as well, which helped like increase my profile. And at the point where I was like, okay, I need to find a job, the job that I got with was with a company that knew me from my blog. So I think with that, I didn't really experience the thing where I'm like going and interviewing in a Nigerian company, for example. I never had to do that. So in that way, I never dealt with that. But I think at the point where it started to become more of a thing that might have been a problem, I was already a lot more advanced in my career, and so it was harder for people to be like, oh, you can't do this. I'm already you can't tell me anything. Yeah. So I don't know what advice I can give to people with that. I guess just ignore what everybody says and do it if you want to do it, because for me, nobody had the opportunity to tell me that this is not for me. And so if you just look at it that way and just be like, you need to do what you're doing and not really worry about getting permission from anybody, then nobody can affect you in that way.
Okay. So just before we go on, is there anyone on this panel that was told it's not for you at all?
Let me just quickly chime in and hopefully offer a different perspective. So my background is not in computer science. I didn't drop out to study economics or finance. So my background is in economics and finance. So I more or less run a business within tech, right? And I think talking about pipeline, I think it's important. I mean, this skill set is still very important in tech organizations, and we need to have a lot more women represented to sort of create positions, create roles, and ensure that, and ask for women, right? Because I mean, my role within PAGA, I run a business, and most times, we pull out for CVs, we get candidates for internships, and you find that they're mostly men, right? I mean, I think just very few times that I've come across women actually saying they want to do internships, within like proper, technical roles. So for me, I feel like this other skill set are still very relevant, and you can still add a lot of value to tech businesses, and also create room to actually see women, grow and develop. So I see myself in a position to sort of facilitate and support women that actually want to grow into tech roles. So what I would really, want to see is, organizations creating internship programs right from the earlier stage, because what you find is a lot of times people don't know how to apply, and apply their skills, and that's why you find that they tend to drop off a lot. So if there are programs that sort of bring these students into the workspace, give them real life experiences, let them see how their skills actually impacts businesses, solves very technical problems for businesses, I guess that would get them more excited, right? So I guess obviously it's not just you don't have to just be in computer science, be a programmer to be in tech, right? I'm an example of that. So it's just how can you contribute based on the skill set that you have in ensuring that more women are allowed in, so people that are fortunate enough to be on leadership position, how much are you fighting for women? Do you have a quota for female head count? Rather than just say, oh, this is an opening for system engineer. You should insist on female system engineers, because that way, if you keep insisting, you see that a lot of people will want to apply for those roles. They will want to actually go through the rigor of actually getting those positions.
That's fine. I'm happy that you brought up that, because I'm also an econ grad, and when when Ojo was shading us, I felt bad for him. But it's fine. No, but because that speaks to one of the projects that Tech About did and that Ire and Ojo are on. When we say women in tech, you don't necessarily have to be a coder, because you need someone that's going to run the business. You need someone that's going to do the sales and has to understand what these engineers are even talking about so that you can sell the product. So we did the thing techwomenlagos.com, and you can see Ire and Odu and very nicely made up, and you read about their journeys as well. So if you're looking for role models, there's about 50 of them on that website. But bringing back to your point about just talk, I think we're going to move slightly to sustenance of the people that are already in the tech space. And one of the things that's interesting to me is just how offices make sure that women are comfortable at work. There's everything from harassment to just why are you here to, as a pet peeve I have, but I'll ask you guys first. So one of the questions I had was, let me find it so I don't say it wrong. What are the biggest major and minor blocks to keeping women coming back to work? So when I say major, for example, it would be sexual harassment or just good old Nigerian harassment. And then something minor for me is that some offices don't have dustbins in the toilets. And so people that need to throw away their pads are just like, I don't know what to do now. And it seems like a minor thing, but the minute the bin isn't there, it's a problem. And just like, you know what, I'm going home or something. So starting from you, Lady, what is one major, one minor block to women? We now have them they're in the pipeline. They're coming to work. How do we keep them coming to work, and what's stopping them from coming? Major and minor.
Okay. One major thing would be about like compensation, because I've read a lot about women not being compensated as much as the men that their counterparts, or even like having higher roles than these men. And I think that can be dealt with through transparency, because if you know what you're supposed to earn, like if you know what other people in your level are earning, then you would be able to speak up and fight for it. That if this person is earning this and I'm also doing the same kind of thing, then I shouldn't be earning less just because I'm a woman. So compensation is something that should be looked into. It's a really major thing. Okay, one other major thing is also for women, especially women that are already married and have children, is how convenient is their workspace for, how does their workspace accommodate that kind of thing? Because after their maternity leave, sometimes, okay, like in my office, the office has a crèche. So people that have babies can leave their babies in the crèche, and from time to time they can go check on if they need to breastfeed and then come back to work. So it's easy for them to have the children there and then concentrate on their work at the same time. So amenities like that make women more comfortable. So if you have something like that, you know that okay, I can take my child to work and still not be disturbed. I can work efficiently and still have control over my child. So encourage